So this is the Team DataFam Tableau user group meeting number 6. This Tableau user group is a little bit different to a few others. We focus on the presenter. So the meetings are organised when the presenter is available, which is why we're doing it tonight when Tristan's available. All the meetings will be held online and recorded, obviously. It's just so presenters can get outreach to a wider audience, which is always good for everybody. There's a schedule of events coming up, and there's a lot of TC25 presentations included in that. But if anyone wants to present any Tableau-related presentation, please let me know. Get in touch with the email, which is team.datafam@gmail.com. Tonight we have Tristan Guillevin, I can properly, with the subject of Beyond the Boundaries of Tableau, which is a TC presentation that he did a few weeks ago. Was it last week? Unlocking the full potential of Tableau with tools and techniques to boost creativity and productivity. Prepare to have your mind blown, yes, and transform and build and analyze and share insights. So over to you. If you want to present your screen, I'll stop sharing mine.
I'm doing so. Yeah, I put you on the right, so if there is anything, I can also read the DM, like if there is any important question or any technical issue, and I will also share my screen. So if I do this, we should all see this. Yep. Okay, and that is my Tableau. Okay. Perfect. So, well, thank you for first joining this session. I think it's like you said, it was something that I presented last week now at TC twice, and of course it's always good to redo this presentation in. Sorry for that. To redo this presentation in. Do you still see my screen?
No, it just dropped off.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry for that. Yeah, I was just saying that it's always cool to do those presentation again, and especially in a context that is not, on a stage with a lot of people looking at you. Like it's a bit more relaxed, it's a bit more. And we can also take a bit more time to present the different things. So that's very good. And thank you, Chris, for the opportunity to present today. So yeah, my name is Tristan Guillevin. I'm the co-founder of La Database. And I think for this small introduction, I want to explain a bit how we arrived there today. How a bit my Tableau journey through the different years. So for me, everything started 10 years ago when I published my very first Tableau public visualization. And this was about a race that happened every year in the city that I used to live in, Strasbourg, and I wanted to help people who participated to that race to visualize their own data, and they could enter their name and see their ranking. So it was just a way to okay, this is something that is happening in my city. I just learned Tableau. How can I visualize the race data? 2 years later, I was on this stage for the Iron Viz competition in 2017. So I continued to do a lot of Tableau, and it actually eventually led me here. And I was lucky enough to win the Iron Viz competition. And here you can see some of the local, the same city that I used in Strasbourg, made some local newspaper about Tristan won the jackpot in Las Vegas and those kind of stuff. So people thought I won at the casino, I guess, or something like that, because no one had any idea what was Iron Viz. But yeah, it was a bit funny to see that. So this first part was just about me working a lot with Tableau, publishing a lot of visualization on Tableau Public and those kind of things. And then there was really the first chapter of my Tableau journey. The second chapter started 5 years ago when I went. Well, first 5 years ago, I went on a hike the day before the conference, and that's where I met Jessica, who is currently my fiance. And also returning from the conference, I wanted to explore a bit. How can I visualize data outside of what Tableau was usually able to? So this is some example of what I published on Tableau Public also. So this is Tableau visualization that don't necessarily look like your everyday Tableau visualization. Thanks to this, thanks to me trying to different approach in visualizing data in Tableau, I was able to become a Tableau visionary. And that also led me to quit my job and start working as La Database, starting working as a freelancer. And that was really the second chapter of Tableau. And right after that, COVID started. So there was a bit of a period of not so much happening. But the third chapter, I would say, was really 1 year ago, where, well, Jessica also quit her job and joined me at La Data V. So now we are like a 2-people company. We also become an official Tableau partner with the things that we do. And that allows us to collaborate more closely with Tableau. I would say that allows us really to create, for example, the Viz extension, where the Tableau developers and us, we can talk to each other more accurately, and we can develop things together. So really, Viz extension, we were like kind of the first at trying this new API, and we were able, thanks to our partnership, to release a lot of Viz extension. And last year was also a big moment for us, because all the things we do actually led us to Devs on Stage, where Tableau actually showcased 2 of our products, like the Viz extension and the Figma to Tableau plugin. So for us, just being like 2 people and kind of doing things in this room, in our small office in our home, and then eventually being like showcased during Devs on Stage, was really, I think we were really proud of that, and it was really like a big moment for us, and show us that we were going in the right direction. So that kind of led us to today, to this presentation today in this Tableau user group. And that's kind of what I want to show you. I want to show you how we went beyond the boundaries of Tableau, and how everything that led us to become Tableau visionary or partner, or making on Devs on Stage, was because we tried to go beyond the boundaries of Tableau. We were trying to see how can we make the tool better in some way. So for this presentation, I want to first explain a bit what is the concept of beyond the boundaries. What do we mean when we say beyond the boundaries? And then what is our philosophy? And then we are going to talk about 3 main boundaries: visualization, yourself, and dashboard. And then we are going to explore a bit the future. So one of the most important slides of this presentation, and that I will repeat a few times, is this one. This is really the philosophy that we have when we create any new product in Tableau. So first, we want to make it clear. This is really understand what is that new feature, or understand what is that new API. What does it do? How does it work? Then we make a first proof of concept. This is usually something that you don't see. This is something that we do kind of on our own, just to test. We want to create a first proof of concept of what we are doing. It's just us experimenting. Then we make it right, and that is usually what we ended up sharing. This is kind of something that we believe is the right tool, the right way to do something in Tableau. And then, and probably the most important part, I would say, is we make it easy. Make it easy means that we try to really simplify your life, and we want to create something that people want to use and are happy to use. And that is usually something that not enough company, or is not something that is crucial for everybody, but is really crucial for us. And to explain a bit how we apply that philosophy, I want to talk about the custom themes. So custom themes is a new feature of Tableau 2025.1. You can let me know in the chat if you have used it. So it would be good to know if it's something brand new for you, if it's something that you have used. And custom themes is something that allow you to do something like that. So if you're in Tableau, you can go to format on top. You can say, okay, I want to import a custom themes, and load your JSON, and that will completely change all of the format of your workbook. So it's a really, let me read the chat if people say not used, but will soon. Okay, great. So yeah, this is really a great feature if you want to change all of the design of your workbook really easily. The only issue, I would say, is that you need to write a JSON file. So you need to look at the Tableau documentation and see all the different style elements, the style attribute, and you need to make sure to not make any mistake. So for example, if you want to change the worksheet font color, you need to write it like that. So it's not necessarily difficult, but still it requires you to have to go through, like, write your own JSON file and really look at the documentation and make mistakes. So this feature, this new custom themes feature, for us, is like, it's clear what it's doing. It works. I just show you a quick example. It is the right feature in the sense that it is something that the community have asked for a long time, and people are really happy with that new feature, but is not as easy as it could be. It's not as easy as it could be because I know, and I could see the live reaction during TC. Every time that you say to people that they have to write a JSON file or something like that, usually it's like, no, that's people don't like to have to do these kind of things. Like everything that is a bit technical, everything that introduce some technicality to it, people usually is like, is just like the custom the the color palette in Tableau that they just announced at Devs on Stage that now there is going to be a built-in way to do it. Before, just the fact that you needed to go to your preference file and write it with Xcode, people usually don't like that. So it's not easy. And that is where we try to introduce our philosophy. That is where we try to have our space in the Tableau community or in the things that we do. And we created the custom themes generator. So the way this works is if you go to our website, ladatavis.com, and you go to custom themes, what you see here is not a JSON file or anything. It's just you see something that looks like a Tableau visualization, right? So now, if you want to change your background color, you can go here and you can say, okay, I want maybe like a dark blue background color. I want my marks to be maybe like a light blue color. I want all of my fonts to be in white, and I want to change my font family to Poppins, for example. Okay, so here you see instantly the result of your custom themes. And then when you click export, that actually generate the JSON file for you. So let me just move that here. So if you look here, this created my JSON file. So I don't need to know how it was created. I don't need to know how it works. All I know is like I have my theme here. So if I go in my Tableau visualization, I can go to Format, Import Custom Theme, and then select my theme, overwrite, and now we have the new look that we just designed together. So if you want to change the color, if you want to change the font, now you don't need to you don't need to write any JSON file to use that new feature. You can just go on our website, use this tool, it's completely free, and then you can configure your theme. You can also import an existing one. So if you want to import one that you have, you can import it and then rework it. So it's really, really easy. And for us, this is really our philosophy, right? Is in that case, there was something that was already working and the right tool, but we just helped to make it easy. And in sometimes we will develop it completely from zero. So that is really the introduction of the things we want to do, the things we try to do in the Tableau community. So now we are going to enter the first big chapter, visualization, and here I have a lot of things to show you. So first we are going to talk about charts. So the very first chart that I created outside of Tableau was this one. It's like a network diagram that was showing the connections between not the connection, how can I say that? The interactions between people during the Tableau conference in 2019. So each circle is a Twitter account, and then there was a line between those accounts if they had an interaction on Twitter. So being tagged in the same picture or answering to each other. So you can really see who is your DataFam network, and you can see who you had interaction with. This, I had no idea how to do that in Tableau, so I learned JavaScript and D3, the usual tool that you learn to make network diagram. But my idea was, well, it's a network about the Tableau community, so it would be really cool if we could make it in Tableau, right? So the main idea was like, how can I make this in Tableau? And then you need to start again with the diagram that I showed you before. We need to start by making it clear and making it clear of what is a Tableau visualization. And a Tableau visualization, and that's one of the most important things you can remember also if you want to make advanced visualization in Tableau, is that it's nothing more than X and Y. The first example, the donut chart. If you have a circle, a donut chart, sorry, is nothing more than a pie chart and a circle that you put on top of each other. So when you say on top of each other, it basically means that you are putting them in the same X and Y coordinates, right? So as long as you can have X and Y, you can do funny stuff like, for example, a donut. You can also make a Sankey diagram, a bit more complex. So this is the example of the Flair-Ledge brother Sankey template. But if you open the flow in Tableau in a worksheet, you will see on top in the column and the row, you see X final and Y final. Okay, so X and Y. And if you change your marks from polygon to a circle, here you see the trick. Here you see that actually a Sankey diagram is nothing more than a series of dots that have a right X and Y position. And then if you put a polygon, then it looks like a Sankey. But in the end, is nothing more than X and Y coordinates, right? The donut is just a pie and a circle that are on the same X and Y coordinates. And a Sankey is also just a series of points that have the correct X and Y. So my network here, the network is also it's a good thing also for us because it's also just X and Y. It's just circles that have specific X and Y coordinates position and the lines too. The only difficulty is to know how to calculate those coordinates. That's the difficult part. How do I know my X and my Y? Well, the good thing in my case was that I already created this network diagram using JavaScript and D3. So I knew that D3 could calculate the X and Y of my network because I don't know how D3 does that. It's a lot of mathematical function, but I know it can. So my idea was instead of showing the network in my web browser, instead of showing the result, I could write the result of what JavaScript and D3 would calculate and put them in CSV. So I made one CSV for the nodes, one CSV for the links, and you can see here we have the X and the Y. So it's just like numbers that D3 will calculate for you. And then since Tableau can read CSV files and plot X and Y, I could just put my X of all of my circles, my X and Y, my coordinates of all of my lines. And just as the donut where you do a dual axis and you put them on top of each other, this is exactly the same principle. I made a dual axis where I put my circles and my lines on top of each other, and that creates my network diagram, right? So the idea is like, okay, I use D3 to calculate the coordinates. I don't know how it's calculated, but it's there. And then I use Tableau to do the rendering of my X and my Y's. So with that example, we make it clear, okay, Tableau visualization is just X and Y, and we can make it work by having a way to calculate those X and Y. Now, it's time to make it right because, of course, that was just the explanation of how you can do things, but I don't expect you also to learn D3 necessarily to make network. So the way we made it right was to create AdVis. So AdVis is and also a free tool that we have on our website that allow you to configure your visualization visually, and then you can export the result automatically in Tableau. So all the JavaScript, the D3, putting the data in a CSV, putting it in Tableau, all of that is done automatically. And since we have a bit of time, I can even show you. So you can go in AdVis. You can say, for example, I want a Sankey. So you have your Sankey here. You can select your data. You can change the size of the node, the padding, you can change many things. And then once you are ready, you can say, I want to download that in Tableau. So that creates your Tableau file, sankey.twbx. And if you open it, we are going to have that exact same Sankey in Tableau. So the way, like now I am in Tableau and I have my Sankey. And you can see the way it works is also here we have longitude and latitude because it's a map layers, but it's also just X and Y. It's exactly the same principle, but everything was packaged by AdVis. And then you can use that to put your Sankey in your Tableau public visualization. So that tool was the way we make it right. We created something that allow you to configure and to create advanced visualization easily without having to learn any extra tools. We created like 8 different charts, and this tool was kind of popular among the Tableau community. But the main issue was that it was not usable in a business context, right? Because of course, if your data change, you need to go back in the tool, AdVis, you need to input your new data, and you need to export a new result in Tableau. So if your data change, it's not okay. This tool is really meant for Tableau Public or for journalists that have static data that you can use and create the visualization once and then publish it. So it was the right tool, but it was not necessarily as easy as we wish it could be, because the best would be to have it directly inside Tableau. And that is when something really drastic changed. And at some point, that Tableau visualization kind of stopped to be just X and Y. In the sense that today you can make a network in Tableau. And if you look, there is nothing in column and rows. You don't have any X and Y. Of course, to create it is at some point there is also some coordinates, but the coordinates are no longer in Tableau. In Tableau now you just have the network marks, and you can put category and manufacturer, and you will have your network without having to calculate anything. And that is thanks to this extension, where now in Tableau you can render any type of visualization coming from an external source. Like for example, this visualization here is just D3 and JavaScript being rendered inside Tableau. So you no longer use vSQL, you no longer use the Tableau way of rendering visualization. You just let something else render the visualization. And that was for us the way we made things easy, and now you can really make advanced visualization chart inside Tableau without any difficulty. And we created a few Viz extension, and I want to show you a bit how they work. So let me open the extension demo. Okay, so the donut, I think everyone maybe not everyone, but most of us know how to make a donut chart in Tableau, and it's always a frustrating experience when you need to explain to a newbie in Tableau, okay, to make a donut, you need to make that pie chart and a circle and then put them on top of each other. It's like, why so complicated? With this extension today, so these extensions are available since 2024.2, and you can find here, add extension, and then if you add your extension, you can find a lot of many extensions. So for example, in that case, I select the donut chart is here, and then you can start using it. So if you want to make a donut charts today, starting from 2024.2, you can just put category in section. We can put, let's put the profit in angle, and then we have our donut. We can also put category in color and profit in KPI, and then we have our donut, and it's like a Tableau visualization. Like you can click on the different element, you can exclude, keep only, see the data, and you have this new format extension button that allow you to do also many more things. Like you can change the padding, you can change many things about your donut chart. You can change, of course, the color, the label, and etc. So this is the new way for you making donut. You no longer need to have a dual axis and everything. You can just drag and drop as it's supposed to be. Sankey diagram, same idea. I can just put category, I can put segment, I can put maybe delivery mode, and then we have our Sankey. We can put sales in size. And then again, in format extension, I can change with maybe the padding, with the node width, etc. And since it is no longer a Tableau visualization that is rendered here, right? This is no longer a Tableau visualization. This is like a D3 visualization rendered inside Tableau. It means we can also have advanced interactivities, for example, moving the nodes around, something that you could never do in Tableau, but now you can do. You can have animation, you can have like interactivity really to a higher degree than before. For the network, it's kind of the same. Let's put category, let's put manufacturer, and then we have our network. We can put category in color, maybe sales in size, and here we have it. This one you can zoom in, and you can also highlight the different network to see the connectivity of one specific node. So this is like the donut, the Sankey, the network. Those are like the example that I show you just before in the introduction of the Viz extension. But we also created things that are a bit more business focused. For example, the gauge. A gauge is something that a lot of people have tried to recreate in Tableau for a really long time, and we also think well, some people like gauge, some people don't. But the issue for us is irrelevant. For us, if someone wants to create one, they should be able to do it simply. So if you have a gauge, you can just put sales in value or whatever dimension in value, and you have a gauge. Then if you go to format, here you can select the different sections. So in our case, let's create section of 1 million, and we want maybe 1, 2, 3 sections. 3 sections. And we also, what do we want? We want to change the style, so we can have different style. For example, a gauge that goes until the value, or a gauge that only highlights the current value you are in. You can change the needle. You can change many things. Again, is really we try to create these things for them to be as flexible as possible. And if you want a target, you can also add a target here, and then you see our target. So that's a gauge. Again, many configuration options. And for one that also a lot of people like, and especially if you like sports data, is the radar chart. And again, a radar chart, we can put category in spokes, we can put sales in sales in the values, and then we have our radar. We can put segment in color to have different color. And we received this question kind of recently was, okay, but how can I sort the different elements? Well, it is a Tableau visualization, right? So just as you were used to sort things, if you click on subcategory, you click on sort, then you sort by field, and then you say, I want to have descending by cells, then it will automatically be sorted, right? It looks and feel like any of your Tableau visualization. And if you want to change from the radar to a polar area chart, you can also. And here you will see, like you really see our different segment. And again, you can click on the different segment. You can exclude. You can, like it's like any Tableau visualization. Okay, so through those different demo, I want to show you how today it is how easy it is today to create those advanced visualization. You don't need, we didn't create any calculation, we didn't create any data densification, we didn't go to any external tool to do all of that. Everything happens in Tableau and is fully integrated in Tableau. For me, I really think that the Viz extension is one of the best things that have happened to Tableau for the past years, and it really allows us to develop anything we have in mind, any idea we have of an eccentric visualization or more technical, we can do them now with Viz extension. Okay, now let's talk about KPI. So KPI is something that always annoys me in Tableau because they are always, they can look really good, but you need a lot of formatting and a lot of clicks to make them happen. So if we look at the middle one, the sales, for example, if you want to have something that looks good, you need the current period value, the difference, and the percentage difference. And if you want them to change color, depending on if they are positive or negative, you need the positive value and the negative value. So you need at least 6 or 7 calculations just to make something that looks good in Tableau. And of course, also each container here, you need to change the padding, change the border, change and assemble it to have the evolution below. So that was always something that takes us a lot of time. And that's why 2 years ago, I think we created Bang. Bang is a tool. It's a tool on our website that allow you to input your Tableau file, select your different KPI, and then it will create all the calculation for you. It will also create the evolution and everything. It's a tool that was really successful that we created. A lot of people liked it. But it was not, again, as easy as we wish it could be, because still a lot of people say, well, I need to go to your website, I need to put my Tableau file, and then you generate the calculation and everything, but I would like something more integrated. And today, again, thanks to Viz extension, we are able to also kind of close that gap, cross that bridge, I don't know how to say, and we can really make now KPI in Tableau really, really easily. So let me show you one of the new Viz extension we are working on. Is called the KPI counts. And this one allow you to have those really nice looking KPI counts without, again, any calculation or without any struggling with containers. So if you want to do a KPI count with your sales, you can just put sales in KPI. And here you have your ban, right? You have your big aggregated number that is just the total amount of sales. Okay, good. But now if you want to look the evolution, you can just put order date in time. And now you will see already the different dates. I am currently working on it, so the dates below here are broken with the bar chart, but it's because we are releasing it really soon and I'm making some last minute changes. But from this, you can also say, now I want to look at the monthly evolution, and now you have the different months and the monthly value and the difference versus last month. And if you want, we can also show it with a line chart, and now the dates are correct because they are just broken for the bar chart. And you can also look at with an area chart with like gradient and curves. So all of the good things that you cannot do in Tableau, you cannot have them in the Viz extension. So you see, like, you have the monthly evolution, the sales value of the last month, and the difference versus last month. Of course, all of that you can configure. You can say, no, I want my last month's value versus last year. You can change the color. You can edit all of that without any calculation. And then if you have a target, you can also take your target and put it here, and then you will even have the difference and the percentage difference versus your target. So that's how you make a new KPI in Tableau. Let's call it KPI sales. And if you want, you can also just duplicate this and now say, well, I don't want to look at my sales, but I want to look at my quantity. And we can remove target, and bam, you have the other KPI. Let's call it quantity. And if you want, you can make the same. Let's duplicate and look at the profit. And now you have the evolution of the profit with the last months. So really easily, we made 3 different KPI without, again, having to do any calculation. And if I go now in my dashboard and I take my radar chart and I put my KPI sales, quantity, and profit here, really quickly, really ugly way of making a dashboard, but just to give you the idea. Now you can also use this radar chart that we created, or this polar area chart, sorry, that we created, and we can use it as a filter. And when we click on the different element, it will also automatically update all of our different KPI, because this is just one worksheet in Tableau. So of course you can use it. Of course, it can react to your filters, it can react to your actions, etc. Right? So again, this KPI counts. The idea was, okay, how we make this really easy for you to build without calculation, without extra step. And yep, I hope you like it. It's coming out really soon. We are making the last final changes on it, and probably is going to be released next week or in 2 weeks. Okay, so this concluded our very first part about charts and really arriving to that final stage that we are right now with this extension that really allow us to do everything. Now for the next part, I want to talk about beyond yourself. How for us we thought about doing all of these things, and what was really the driving force to create a product that go beyond the boundaries of Tableau. So everything for me started when I was a bit tired of doing the same bar chart, line chart, tables, and map for my clients, right? I started as a Tableau consultant, and as I go through, as I was working with different clients, usually you always repeat the same chart. And there is nothing wrong about those charts. I really like them, and I still use them every day when I work for my client. But at some point, especially on my Tableau public profile, I wanted to be a bit more creative. I wanted to see if I could create things that were a bit outside of the standard charts that you have in Tableau. And the issue that I noticed is that, well, I was only using Tableau for everything. I was using Tableau to explore my data, to work on my UI, to sketch my dashboard, to develop it, and to publish. So my boundaries were not necessarily mine. They were the one of actually Tableau. They were like, because I was not exploring anything outside of Tableau, actually my own constraint were the one of like what Tableau allowed me to do. So the decision that I took was okay, I need to learn something new. I need to become a beginner again. I need to see what's possible in other tools. So I started to learn different tools. I learned Figma and Webflow for the design part. I learned JavaScript and Svelte for the development part, and then D3 and of course Tableau for the data part. So that was kind of my tech stack of how do I do good design, how do I do good development, and how do I do good data. Then I started to experiment with those different tools. And that is one example of the visualization that I have on my Tableau public profile. And this visualization is really the combination of Figma for the layout, Figma for the gradient, also D3 for the network, and then everything assembled in Tableau to have the interactivity and the final result. This is another example where I work with, again, JavaScript to kind of create this Bauhaus style of the sample superstore profit by style and category. Is not necessarily the most informative visualization, but again, it's just me trying to experiment with what is possible, with what I can do with Tableau if I explore my data through other tools. So after all of these experiments, we were ready like to start sharing things with people. And sharing things is, well, I'm talking to you today, so this is part of us sharing, is making sure we understand what we are doing, because as soon as you want to teach other people, that's where you really notice if you know what you're talking about. So we also have a YouTube channel. We also have a newsletter where we try to share every week the things we learn and the process of us building the things. We shared some tools also, like Adviz that I just showed you. It was the very first tool that we gave to the community for them to be more creative too. And then something happened that it was not necessarily the plan, but we started to thrive in that area of building things for the Tableau community. So first we received this kind of message of people saying, okay, thank you for working so hard to make things easy for us in Tableau. And this is exactly the philosophy that we have. So we were really happy to read that. The tool Adviz that we created was really a success among the Tableau community. So today we actually have a gallery that is available on our website that now I even have a bit of time to show you. So if you go to Adviz, you can visit the gallery, and here you can see all of the visualization that were built by the Tableau community using these three tools. So we try to track them. We have tracked 307 Tableau public visualization, and among them 46 views of the day. So yeah, you can visit to see what the community has done. And so in that way, from what started like a long time ago of me wanting to be more creative, suddenly started to change to, okay, now what we really like to do is help other people be more creative. And what started as just like some free tool for the community, we also started to notice that, okay, there was a space for us to also build things that were more like business oriented. And today we don't have just like free Tableau Public user, but we also have like customers who actually decided to buy some of our tools to help them do their day-to-day jobs. So that kind of a part of just starting to learn new tools today resulted in really, we have a small company of two when we try to do those things that expand the way you can use Tableau. And of course, this is a presentation, right? So when you see that, you say, oh, okay, it's really, really linear and really easy. I just learn, experiment, share, and then I can thrive, and that's it. And then I can relax in a beach and just thrive forever. The reality is, like, first you need to always keep learning, right? Especially today, like, you have AI everywhere, and I think it's a mistake if you think that it will not have any impact on what you do. So it's really important that we keep learning new stuff, and we keep learning new things to experiment again and start again that process, because you cannot just stop at thriving forever. The second thing is, like, sometimes you will learn, you will experiment, you will share something that you think is really good, but then you need to go back to learning. Like, you didn't thrive with that thing. That happened to us also often, that we share something that we think is really good, but in the end it was not necessarily the right tool, or is not what people wanted. So it's completely okay. It's one of the paths. Another one is, sometimes you will learn something that you think is really cool, you will start to experiment with it, but then you see actually no value in it, and then you get back to learning, right? So it is not it's not a straightforward path. It's not a linear path. It's actually like a state of mind that, and everything always goes back to learning something new. So every time that we try to learn a new technology or something new, it always expand a bit our way, and sometimes we experiment with it, sometimes we share something, and sometimes we thrive, but not every time. So now that's concluded the second part, and now we can go a bit beyond the dashboards. So dashboard is also in Tableau, you either work in your worksheet when you make the data, or you work in your dashboard when you assemble the things. And the equivalent of a Tableau visualization in more than X and Y would be that a Tableau workbook is nothing more than an XML file. So if you have a TWB file and you open it in any text editor, you will see something like that. This is the expression of your Tableau workbook, your dashboard, your worksheet, your data source, in the XML way. So in something that is readable, understandable, not easily, but that is how your Tableau workbook is built. So knowing that, we are going to talk about two things. We are going to talk about filters, and we are going to talk about Figma. So first, let's talk about filters. So I don't know you, but personally, if I open my filter demo, I don't know you, but every time that I need to make a dashboard, and then I go to filter, and then I start to add my category filter. Okay, that's category. Let's add also my country. Let's add my region, and let's also add my segment. Every time that I have all of these filters like that, I always like brace myself, let's say, because I add a lot of filters everywhere, but then I need to always right click, go to multiple value dropdown, and then right click again, go to customize, show apply button. And then I need to do that for the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And I need to do that for every filters that I have in my workbook, right? So it's just a lot of clicks, it's just a lot of time wasted in order to configure all of my filters in that kind of drop down with an apply button. That's usually how my client want their filters. So how do we fix that? Well, if you look at a more simple example, if you look at this just one worksheet with one filter category, which is a drop down with an apply button, and another one that is our standard filter with a list. If you look in the XML of that workbook, at some point you will see two zones here, my two zones, that are my filters on my dashboard. How do I know that? Well, I can see that they are the type filter, and then I have one for category and one for my country. So, okay, it looks good. This is probably the definition of my filter in the XML of my Tableau file. Now, if I look at my first one, my category, I see mode check dropdown and I see show apply true. Okay. Those two attributes, they are not in my country zone. So what if we just, because it's XML, right? We can just modify it. We can just copy paste and write things. What if we copy mode check dropdown and show apply true, and we put it in my country region zone? Then I will save the file. I will save my Tableau file, open it again, and now I have my two filters as a check as a drop-down list with an apply button. Okay, so this is again our philosophy. We make it clear. Okay, Tableau file is an XML file. We make it work like a small proof of concept. Okay, if I take those attributes and I put them in my different zone, it will work. It will change the filter. But of course, now we need to make it right. So make it right means I'm not going to ask you to open your Tableau file with a text editor and start to write things. We created this filter manager tool, which is available. Let me just save my Tableau file, and then here, if I go to filter manager, I can select my Tableau file. So I will go to my filter dashboard. And here you can see the different dashboard. So customer order details and overview. You see the different filters that exist. And then you can say, okay, I want apply button everywhere. I want them to be all multiple value drop down. So we will change them all. And I also want maybe relevant values only everywhere, right? So now I click generate. That creates a new Tableau file. And if we open this new Tableau file, we will have all of our filters in all of our dashboard being drop down with an apply button and being only relevant values. And that is the case for my customer dashboard, for my order details dashboard. Everything is correctly multiple value drop down with an apply button. So this is one of the tools, one of the products that we have created around Tableau. And it is, if I'm showing you that, is because I want to show you what is possible when you start to play with the XML file, right? So this quick example of the filter manager was just us trying to just being crazy with all of our filters and be like, okay, we are sure there is a way to automatize things if we manipulate the XML file of Tableau. So that is just one example. And the second example is everything that you can do around Figma. So Figma is one of the very first tool that I've learned when I try to experiment more with design. And it can look like Tableau and Figma are really far from each other. They are really far from each other because, well, in Figma, you don't work with any data. You don't work with data. You make rectangles and you make like a beautiful design. And in Tableau, you really work with your data, but everything around design, UI is not necessarily really advanced. Still, a lot of people, and us first, we we create things by using Figma and Tableau together. So usually this is like we are now, that's a screenshot that I took in Figma. That is kind of our design process when I made like my Marvel Cinematic Network visualization. So you can see that in Figma, I really play with the colors, I play with inspiration, I could create my background. This is another example of Jessica's Sherlock Holmes visualization. So you can see again the inspiration. She created some shapes and then she assembled everything in the dashboard, and that is the final result in Tableau. So it doesn't look like your everyday Tableau workbook, your Tableau visualization. And again, it is because we bring different elements from different tools, Figma and Tableau in that case. And then when you start playing with Figma, you start to notice that there are some things that are a bit nicer, I would say, to do in Figma than to do in Tableau. First thing is, if you have a floating elements and then you change the height of your dashboard, your floating elements, they don't move around. They stay where they are supposed to be, right? That is really cool because in Tableau, if you have floating elements and you change the height, they will move around. The second thing is that in Tableau, you need to select each and every container one by one to then change the padding, the margin, and then the background and the border. You cannot bulk edit those things. You need to do it one by one. But in Figma, again, you can select multiple containers and change the padding, the margin, change the background color, change a lot of elements, every design element of multiple containers at once. So once you start to play a lot with Figma, and then you go back to Tableau, you feel that pain of like, now I need to go back to do things one by one. And then finally, and that always blows the Tableau people mind, is you can select a container and then use that kind of drop feature to align it exactly with the element you want, and it doesn't mess your design. If you try to do that in Tableau, you will end up with something like that. We don't know why. When you have your nice containers, but you want to drag and drop to align them correctly, then it creates some tiled and tiled in horizontal containers, and that is not something that we enjoy, and no one understands why. But so designing in Figma is really nice, and doing the but in the end, you always need to recreate whatever you have in Figma in Tableau, right? You cannot. You still need to have this in Tableau. So in the end, you will end up recreating things twice. You will end up making your dashboard in Figma first, and then once you're ready, rebuilding in Tableau with all of the disadvantage of designing in Tableau. Now, let's go back to the core idea that we had of a Tableau workbook is nothing more than an XML file, which means that you could potentially recreate a Tableau workbook out of nothing, out of thin air, right? Out of you don't have anything, and then suddenly you write all the XML of your Tableau workbook, and that creates your Tableau workbook. Well, that is exactly what the Figma to Tableau plugin that we developed does. And just to show you kind of what you can do with XML, I want to show you a quick demo of this Figma to Tableau. So let's close this, and we can also close this, and let's go to Figma. Okay. Let me close this. So first, what I want to say is this Figma to Tableau plugin. So it's in Figma, and you can find it here. Like you have the Figma to Tableau. You can use it to export any design that you want, right? So if you want to, you already work with a designer, they already made a design. You could export that. You can export anything in Figma as long as it's a frame, and you can export it with styled, floating, or background image. Now, what I want to show you today is like what you could do if you start really from nothing. You start from a blank page and you don't necessarily know how to use Figma or anything. You just know that it will simplify your process. So here, if we launch the Figma to Tableau plugin, we can go to Generate, and here you will see different layouts. So you have access to many layouts. Let's take this one, and we can name our dashboard. You can say if you want filters or navigation. You can say how many navigation buttons you want. If you want a logo, you can change the design. You can change a lot of things, but once you are ready, you can say Generate. You click Generate, and that generates an example of a dashboard in Figma. Okay, we are still in Figma. This is still not a Tableau dashboard, right? But you can see here all of the layers, all of the elements that were created. Okay, now we want that in Tableau. You can go to Export and simply click Export Dashboard. and that will create out of thin air like a template.twbx. So what I click export, what the plugin did is it generated the entire XML of that Tableau dashboard. And now you can see I just open it and we have the exact same layout that we have here, but now it's in Tableau. Yes, like this. Okay, we have the exact same layout, but in Tableau. And if you look at my layout here, you can see that all of the different elements, the containers, the title, the text, the navigation button, everything was, so this is an actual navigation button that you can configure. This is an actual image. This is a dummy worksheet that was placed here for you to modify. So you can see that really the plugin recreated every of my Tableau, of my design layout automatically in Tableau. One of the new feature we created recently is like you can also select the chart type. So for example, here it has a map, but I can say no, an histogram, and you can also change the chart color, right? And the plugin will create those worksheets automatically and make them like dummy worksheet. But you could also have an existing Tableau workbook, an existing Tableau dashboard, for example, this one, like my sales workbook with a map and 2 area chart. And when I click, I can filter my dashboard. Okay, very good, simple Tableau dashboard. But I want to make it look much better. So again, here, let's remove this one. Let's just keep this layout, right? 1, 2, 3. And what you could do is select a workbook. So let's select our Figma workbook demo that I just showed you. And then you can see the 3 worksheets that we have. So we have sales map, sales by product, sales by segment, and you can see them here. So now if I want to put them in my design, I can just say, okay, this is sales map. This is sales by product. This is sales by segment. And then once I am ready, I have used all of my 3 worksheets in my design. I can again click export. And that doesn't create a workbook out of thin air, but it will take the existing Figma workbook that we had and just add a new, completely new dashboard inside that workbook. So now we still have our previous sales dashboard, but now we also have like sales new, which has our new layout with all of the padding, all of the margin, all of the borders, and the action are still working. All the navigation button and our logo automatically. All right. So we just went from this. Sorry for the map. We just went from this kind of style that has no style to all the padding, the margin, the colors, and everything with just one click. And that is really, again, I'm showing you that to again show you how the power of what you can do if you start playing with the XML, or if you start seeing what you can do if you just go beyond the boundaries of what you can do inside your Tableau workbook, but you start to explore the different things that you can do if you start looking outside. Now, we made it clear. It's an XML file. We make it work. We make it right. We make it easy with the Figma to Tableau plugin. What I want to show you is like that we could go even easier, and that is kind of a demo that we made especially for devs on stage around a new pilot API that is not even in the roadmap, is not funded, is not something that I can share with you even, like the API itself, but I can show you the demo that we created for devs on stage. So this new pilot API, let me close this one just to make it clean a bit. Let me close this one, and then we are going to enter this. So this new API, this new authoring API, allow us to perform actions in your workbook automatically. So every clicks, every drag and drop, every creation, everything that you can do in your workbook, in your dashboard, in your worksheet can be automatized through a call to the API. So for example, if I take this and I drag and drop a floating here, well, instead of me clicking on floating, taking the blank and putting it here, I could automatize that with the API. I could say to the API, okay, add a blank here, add a text here, change the color of the background now. Okay, so the API allow us to launch I don't know, launch is not to trigger those commands automatically. So the idea we had is like, okay, what we had in Figma, of course, in Figma, you can still do, you can still export much nicer dashboard. But what if we take that concept of generating a simple dashboard and from Figma, but put it directly in Tableau? So let me show you. I will click on this layout and I will call it test. And let's just click generate dashboard. So automatically, it assembles my 3 worksheets that I have in the layout that I have selected, right? So all of the drag and drop that you would normally do, like you can see it also created some containers. So the containers creation, the drag and drop, everything was automatically created by the API. Now, if I say test 2, and then we say, okay, we also want navigation button, we want style, and we want filters. And I click generate dashboard. Here you can see that I'm not doing anything. The API automatically generated all of these elements automatically. So it generated the navigation button, it generated all the containers, it generated my blank. It also automatically added the padding, the margin, the background, the border, everything that was and I selected this one, but I prefer this one in the middle. So let's do it again. And you can see now it even added like another button because now we have an extra dashboard. So it look at how many dashboard you have. It will add a button for each of those dashboard, and they're actually working, right? It's not of course, if I go to an empty, it doesn't do anything. But if I go to test 2, to test, so you can see the navigation button works. So the API, the authoring API, really allow us to, well, ask the API to act as the author of our dashboard. So it can really create and generate anything. And that's a demo we did during Devs on Stage, so that we created for Devs on Stage Labs. And at the end of Devs on Stage Labs, people could vote for the best of the ideas, and authoring API the highest voted ideas. So we are really confident that in the future, Tableau will allow us will release this API, and that everyone will be able to use it to create those automation that will make our life as a Tableau developer even easier. So that concluded the demo. I took a bit more time because I think we were not pressed by the next presenter. So I think I really wanted to explain a bit more those API and not just show you like a 20-second demo. And to conclude, really, I want to really make some closing statement around the future of Tableau. And for me, what I really feel right now, I know like some people are not necessarily happy with the direction of Tableau Next on those kind of things. I think there is really 2 different Tableau that are evolving at the same time, right? That there is one that is more and more integrated with Salesforce, with Tableau Next, with AI, with those kind of things that I personally still don't use. But on the other hand, there is a Tableau that is also more open than ever. And I really want people to really notice that these extension, these SQL data services, and maybe the authoring API in the future are things that you could not dream to do in Tableau 2 or 3 years ago. Like Tableau was much more of a black box where things were happening inside Tableau and you could not do them outside. Now, these SQL data services allow you to query your published data source anywhere. These extension API allow you to render visualization inside Tableau coming from anywhere. So we are really entering a new phase of, there is a future of Tableau that really will allow us to allow developers to create more and more better solutions for people who are using Tableau. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. That's another demo also of the future of Tableau, how you can reconcile maybe the 2 things like AI and Tableau. Let me show you this because I have it here too. This is a demo that we did for the Viz extension Shark Tank, where we explore, okay, of course, AI is there, is not going anywhere. And when we combine AI with things like, for example, Viz extension, we can really make something really cool. Like, for example, I am here in a Tableau worksheet, right? And I'm connected to Sample Superstore. And I could put sales in measure. I could put maybe average discount in measure. I could put profit in measure. Okay, it's not doing anything. I could put also my subcategory in dimension. And basically, what I did here is that I said to this worksheet, okay, this is what you can play with. You can play with the subcategory, the sales, the discount, and the profit. That is what the context that I gave this application. And this application, which is just a Viz extension, now allows you to talk directly with your data. So we have some predefined prompts. So you can say, okay, analyze the data. So it will make analysis of top sales, profit leaders, notable trends. Usually, I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to read everything here, but usually it can detect that, okay, you have too high discount, and maybe like if you have time to read, you have too high discount, so it will lower your profit. You can also be like, okay, storytelling, because a lot of my clients like to transform their data into PowerPoint presentation. So if you click here, based on what you have drag and drop, it will create the slides for you. So, or it will tell you what to put in each slide in order to create a story based on your subcategory, sales, discount, and profit, right? So um, again, we will have to read it to make sure it's completely accurate, but you can also ask for chart advice. So based on what I have drag and drop, you could visualize the data with combined bar chart and line chart, horizontal bar chart, scatter plot, heat map, and it will also give you some general best practice to visualize this data that you have. And then you can also ask a question. So I think during TC, I asked the question of will tariff, is it like that? I'm not sure. Or is it tariff? Yeah, will impact my profit, and you can ask, and then it will kind of try to yeah, type could so you could ask question based on things that are happening right now, so you can really talk with your data automatically, and that is kind of what what drives my profit, what drives my negative profit. Let's ask this to see. Yeah, negative profit are mainly driven by high average discount combined with moderate high sales volume. So you see some example of how you can talk with your data. This is also an unreleased kind of ChatGPT integration with Tableau that we are currently working on. We are not sure we are going to deliver it, to release it. We are still thinking about it, thinking about the way we can package it, but it was just a demo to see, okay, what could be a really good integration between AI and Tableau to not replace you as an analyst, but to help you understand kind of quickly your data. So it doesn't do all of the visualization part that we still want to do, but it helps you not to notice the key trends, to helps you notice what is important about your data. And just as I show you, this is kind of our new learning phase. We have those new tools that are around AI, and we are our authoring API maybe soon, and that we are trying to learn more about them in order to experiment and maybe share in the future some new things with you. So this is really the most important slide. If you have one thing to remember from today, it is, if you want to go beyond the boundaries of Tableau, of what you're currently doing, start by learning something new and see how it goes forward. My name is Tristan Guillevin. I'm working with Jessica Bautista. Us two, are the only people working at La DataViz, our small company. And if you want to, well, thank you for staying until the end. And if you want to scan this QR code, I guess you can. Also, if you watch the replay, you will find all of the links of the things we do, our website, our newsletter, our YouTube channel, everything is available here. I will put the slide back in a moment. But I wanted to also tell you that if all of the things, or if any of the things that I show you interest you, you can join the Tableau Developer Program. This is where we, as small data dev community, are really experimenting with the tool, with the API. So if you have any question about what you see, you can join the Tableau Developer Program. And if you want to learn more, learn by doing, there is something called the Tableau Data Dev Quest, that is a monthly challenge around API in Tableau. It's made by the community, so it's made by us. And every month people create like a small challenge for you to learn how to use the different API in Tableau that exist. It's really the best way to learn, the best way to go beyond the boundaries of Tableau. and I'm putting back this slide if you want the QR code. And I guess I'm also ready for questions. If people have questions, I'm ready to talk more.
You're ready for questions, right?
Yes.
I think we've got about
questions.
a week of questions lined up. I think the most important one is Viraj's question. I'll just paraphrase it. Is how many hours do you have in your day? Because you don't have
The same
24 hours. No, you don't.
yeah. So the good thing is, well, I think that's what people like. I often say that. I will just maybe while we speak, I can stop sharing
Yeah.
my screen so you can see my face. Yes. The main thing is that what people usually see is the end result of how something was built, right? Or like you are we are already like 3 years after we started. The first network generator tool took like 2 or 3 months to build because we had no experience, no knowledge, nothing. Now every new tool that we make, like a new Viz extension right now is like around 5 days of work, right? And we are two people, right? So we could make a new Viz extension. We can make like easily, if we want. If that was the only thing we would do, we could make 4 new Viz extension per month, right? Of course, we do a lot of other things, so it's not possible. But we have created systems. We have a code base now that allow us to really quickly build on top of the existing things. So the more we advance in time, the more it looks like we can do things way faster and that's normal. The first time you start, you spend months doing something, and once you already know how XML works and Viz extension and different API, then you can work really faster. The second thing, and probably one of the biggest game changer right now, is all of the AI tools that help you to develop. Like if you have something like GitHub Copilot, we use Cursor to code. It can really not necessarily do all of the coding for you, but you can win a lot of time. Like the custom themes generator, like I really invite you to try to build your own custom themes generator, because it literally took us 1 day to build this tool. That's why also it's free, because it's like, okay, it took us no time to do it. And really by playing a lot with AI, by putting the entire documentation of all of the attributes you can put in your JSON, right? So on the Tableau documentation, you say, okay, the JSON file for your custom themes can have all of these attributes. Just put the documentation in the AI and say, okay, create just like the selector menu for all of these attributes. So of course you still need the website, you still need all of those things that we had, but to just understand how to transform that JSON into like a visual thing, it was really easy, and that AI helps us a lot for that. So yeah, I guess that I hope that answered the question.
That was an easy question. Okay, so there's a whole heap of other questions as well, and some of them are quite quick. So Fee was saying, can you change the padding on the JSON theme generator as well? You can change the padding between the different sheets?
Not yet.
No? Okay, cool.
Not yet. So like, yeah, just search custom themes Tableau documentation, and you can see all of the things I can do. We have added in our generator all the attributes that are available. If they are not there, it's because it's not them. They are not yet available, sadly. But I know they are working on new versions. Every new Tableau version probably will have a bit more attributes that we can play with. Hopefully they will add them. I will love it too.
Yeah. Jacques was asking about the security around the analytics extensions when you're actually getting data from that's in the workbook, I guess. Is there any security concerns with that?
Yeah. So with Viz extension, it depends really on what type of API you use. For example, Viz extension, what you drag and drop in your worksheet, it is summarized, right? It's like the summary data that you can see in Tableau, and that is sent to the rendering website that will make the visualization, right? So of course it's not stored. It is not at no point the data is stored anywhere. It's just used to do the rendering. We know that there are some companies that cannot afford to have any of the external connection to do even some rendering. So that's why the Viz extension they can also be completely internal to your company. You can host them yourself. So the data is inside your system. Is not connected to internet or anything. You can host them basically just like a rendering services that you can have internally. So.
And can you do that if it was Tableau Cloud as well? Can you host the extension yourself if it's Tableau Cloud?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Because basically from whether it's Tableau Cloud or Server, the Viz extension, when you are in your Viz, when you use a Viz extension, you specify what is the URL of the site that renders the visualization, right? So that URL can be anything. As long as Tableau Cloud can access that URL, it can be internal, external, it can be whatever. But if you want that, if you trust Tableau Cloud but want still the rendering to be on your end, you can of course do that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nana was asking about some B-swarm charts and basically how do you get started, but I'm pretty sure you answered that as you went along as well. Philip was saying with the KPI cards, can you add an up and down arrow? I thought you had that
Yeah.
on the card anyway. Yep, you can do that.
Like
Yep.
like this is the kind of feedback that we like, because basically it's like it's an ongoing project, right? So if anyone make like a useful comment like that, like, yeah, of course, if that is something that you would like, we can add the option, and that will take 20 minutes to add, like to have arrows to show up and down here. So
Yep.
sure.
And Philip also said, by creating a Figma template, can you extend it to create a Tableau accelerator template? Have you done accelerators before?
Can
Yep.
you repeat?
Yep. It says by creating a Figma template, can
Ah,
you extend it to create a Tableau accelerator template?
Probably yes, because basically a Tableau accelerator template, if I understand it correctly, is just usually have like all of the design and everything, and you just basically replace the data source, or you reconnect your data source, so the charts are already there. For us, like, I guess it's possible. We never really investigated the kind of accelerator part of Tableau, because I think they are like, there was already enough in that space. So what we wanted to create is
Yeah.
more things that didn't exist yet. But yeah, you could. I know a lot of the client we have that use the Figma to Tableau plugin. They use it as an internal accelerator. So their teams already have like predefined templates with the company color and everything, and then they can just export the one that they want on the fly to make their dashboard. So they don't recreate all the time the same kind of design. They have a list of templates in Figma, and then they can export it. So it's kind of your own company accelerator if you want.
Mm-hmm. And Fee was asking about when you're doing your filter page. So you were saying there's a web page on your site to create the filters. You upload the workbook and it does a few things for you. Did you upload a TWB or TWBX? Can you upload a TWBX?
You can do both.
Both, yep. Because it would auto detect and just extract it when you need to.
Exactly. So if the tool actually detects if it's a TWBX, which that's not part of the presentation, but a TWBX is nothing more than a zip file. So if you rename it zip, then you can unzip it. So yeah, is for us is just like we unzip if it's a TWBX, and we only work with the TWB, right? So at any point, and that is kind of something we really try to do with those online tools, we don't want to know about your data. We don't it's not stored, it's not anywhere. We just make the XML manipulation, right? So TWB is perfectly fine.
Yeah, definitely. Perfect. I think I've got all the questions. I might have missed some. I might have missed one or two. I don't think I've missed a lot. But Raj is just talking in there as well. Let's get back to, I don't know how you're going to cope with this rest, because it was to be good, and I think you've just blown everyone away. The chat was going on for a while, and then the chat just sort of went quiet as it got more and more and more complex, which is awesome. Anyway, if you need to get in touch with Tristan, here's all the details. Take a screenshot. This will be on the recording as well, so that's fine. We can access that later on. Pretty easy to find La Data Viz in almost everywhere, really. We've been through the Q&A. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, because as I said, fast 5 questions, so quick questions, quick answers. I tailored some to you, but I was not expecting that presentation. I was sort of expecting your TC presentation. So see how you go. Anyway, quick questions from me, quick answers from you. What's your favorite use of a parameter on a dashboard?
So many use. I would say like the normal one would be to just like the one that I use the most is to just show hide like different element of your like the of your dashboard, like like the new show hide
Yep,
um, um, part. So it's not necessarily a filter that you will see in your dashboard, but I use a lot parameter under the hood to make those kind of change in what people can see. Yeah.
yep, perfect. What do you think is the most overused Tableau feature?
The most overused Tableau feature. A good question. I would say I would say I am between filters or export to Excel, as in the sense I still think people use that too much.
Yep,
I guess it's necessary, but it's still the things that every time you end up with like working on an existing dashboard, there is still those comment of like, can I export it to Excel, and can you add more filters to what the filters already are? So usually that those are like probably the more overused things.
yep, perfect. What's your biggest Tableau pet peeve? So what does Tableau do wrong?
I think right now is I would say for me is the dashboard part, the design part of your dashboard. I think people still spend way too much time on the like doing small formatting option. I think formatting in general, right?
Yep,
Formatting for me is the biggest issue, and that is the part of Tableau that clearly needs an evolution to be up to the standard of today or the design. It's not a design. Tableau is not a design tool, but still there is some things that are not okay in
it's sort of
2025.
it's sort of being pushed that way as much as it can as well, which is good.
Mhm.
If you could give one piece of advice to a Tableau newbie, what would it be?
That is one easy. That's how I started. Is visualize things that you enjoy. Um,
Yep,
my first visualization in Tableau Public that were successful were because I was visualizing things that I like. So it was yeah, beer consumption in Europe, those kind of things. So I think every time that you visualize something that you have an interested in, it pushes you to make a really good job. So I didn't participate to a lot of Makeover Monday or those things. I know some people really love those
mm-hmm.
because it's like you have a data set and you don't have to find it. But because for me, usually I didn't have any interest in the data that was showcased. I didn't feel the passion or the energy to visualize for the sake of visualizing. So for me, the best advice would be to take something that really you enjoy and visualize it. Yeah.
Yep, perfect. And finally, what's your favorite thing about using Tableau?
I guess the community. I think
Yep,
really like I think my life changed really drastically from meeting people in the Tableau community. So yeah, I think that's what people don't necessarily expect, or what I was not expecting at all when I started using Tableau in 2015. But then I went to my first conference in 2017, and I've been to all of them since then, just because it is. Yeah, it's like how people are helpful, or people are like they usually want the best for you. So yeah, I think the favorite part about using Tableau is like you meet the Tableau community.
awesome, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for your time, Tristan.
Yeah.
So the next tug meeting, I don't know how Colin's going to beat Tristan, but anyway, it's not a competition. It's everything's fair. But Colin's going to present driving revenue growth through Python-based predictive models and Tableau. So again, just as crazy as what we're looking at tonight with actually how to use Tableau tonight, this morning, depends on where you are in the world. And obviously that next tug meeting is at those times. So again, it's the same meeting all around the world. I've just put in the Sydney time, Europe, US. Obviously this time Europe gets to wake up early. The US gets to stay up late. Depends on if you're available. And again, you can watch the recording if not. So all the recordings for this tug and a whole heap of other tugs are on the YouTube channel. We've also got a podcast that's on Spotify and Apple. So if you don't actually watch the recordings, you can listen to them as well while you're on the go. And if anybody wants to present, please email me at team.datafam@gmail.com. There's a fairly simple process to go through. We can find a slot for you. I don't care what you want to present on. Sorry, I do. It should be somewhat Tableau related. But if you've got something that you want to present, please get in touch. We'll find a slot for you. But thank you for your time, Tristan. We're over time. I don't think anyone cares about being over time with the content tonight. Thank you for everyone for attending, and we'll talk to you soon. And thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chris, for organizing.